What's up, DIS? Welcome back to another episode of The Jet Stream.
And today you're back with the duo closest to your heart, Mihini and Kyara.
First up, AP season is just around the corner, so Christine and Olya help calm your nerves.
Then Sophie produced a feature about a student that does more than just tinker on his guitar. And now it's time for the Jet Stream trivia.
When was the first ever AP test?
Comment below and wait until the end for the big reveal. I'm Kyara Trindade.
I'm Mihini addressing these stories and more on today's Jet Stream.
Students at DIS seem to limit their lives so much during this time of the year. They call it AP season, they cut their social life short and cram for AP exams alone at home.
Bro, including me, who hasn't been downtown for almost a month because I was stuck in my room studying.
Thankfully, I'm not doing any AP, so I'm low-key chilling, but Mihini, I've been seeing you overwhelmed for the past few months.
Christine and Olya help dispel some of the myths surrounding APs and how some of us are either studying wrong or possibly overdoing it.
As AP season approaches, students begin to feel more pressure. With so much advice surrounding AP classes, we spoke with a student, a teacher, and a college counselor to understand what AP season is really like and how students manage the stress that comes with it.
I think students expect AP to be really difficult, and it should be, but I think that, students start to not participate in things, stay home from school, and, because they think that they have to study so hard. And ideally, if they did their classes properly in the first place, then they wouldn't have to do that last minute cramming session at the end.
Last year, I studied around 10 hours a night because I had 7 AP exams. So obviously, I had to go through a lot of subjects. I think it's the fact that you only have one shot, in a year. Like SAT, you could take maybe 3-4 times in a year, but AP is only one time. I think it depends on how you study. For me, it was pretty manageable for most subjects. There's a lot of nerves, and I think some classes do prepare you well. But other classes that are also more difficult, obviously, it's much more pressure and much more stressful.
I think AP in general has this idea of only the test matters, which, depending on who you are and what you're trying to use it for, could be true. But I think the experience and the everyday grind is a bigger lesson than just getting a 5 on the exam.
One time I was talking to a university and they said, because I said we have a lot of high achieving students at our school that really want to take as many APs as possible. I said sometimes they even go outside of school and take extra ones. And for them, they said that they would prefer to see the class and then the exam. They said that if you take the class and the exam, then you actually show colleges that you're able to handle college level courses. If you just take the exam, then you're showing colleges that you're good at memorizing.
It really is about building step by step, and that's why the courses are set up the way that they are set up. And so if you are cramming the day before, you're probably just hurting yourself more than you are helping. All your units are so interconnected, but if you don't understand something at the beginning, there's no way that you can move on all the way till the end. And so finding a way to make sure that those stay connected for you and inside your thoughts and your knowledge, that is the best way to be successful.
I don't think it's one AP makes a huge difference. Obviously, there's a difference with having 2 AP and maybe 8, but I think one doesn't really change your future. Objectively, if you look at what a 3 is, it is a pass. It's not necessarily bad.
The overall application matters more. If some students have taken AP exams before, then they might have some sort of idea of what to expect on the test day. I think a lot of students read things like Reddit and things like that so that they can kind of get a sense of what to expect as well, just looking at previous exams in previous years.
AP should be more about how interested you are in the subject. It should be used more as in a guide to help you see if that's what you want to do in the future, instead of just a hard class to take.
According to these educators and learners, AP season does not have to be as stressful as many students make it out to be. AP classes can challenge you to learn new concepts and skills, but they should also be classes that students enjoy and feel excited to take. With the right mindset and preparation, AP season can be less about stress and more about growth. This was Christine and Olya. Now back to the studio.
I have 3 upcoming AP exams that I was feeling overwhelmed about, but not so much anymore. Fingers crossed.
I wish you all the best of luck, girl. You can do this.
Thanks, girlie. Listening to BTS makes me feel less stressed.
Music actually helps us in lots of ways. Being in a band and music enthusiastic can change your life.
So, to introduce that journey, Sophie features Gaaon. He's designing his own guitar and pursuing his musical interests.
Okay, so my name is Gaaon Kim. I've came to DIS this year in the 7th grade, and I'm now the guitarist of the Rock and Tangerines, our grades band. I was born and raised in Korea, but due to my parents' job, I had to move to Africa, Mozambique, actually. So I was in Maputo International School for a while. I learned English there, actually. That was my first time, and that was in the 1st grade. I lived for 3 years there. It was a pretty extraordinary and unique experience. While I was in Mozambique, I listened to a lot of what my parents listened to. And I've actually learned this recently, but turns out there was actually a punk rock scene in Korea in the 2000s, and my dad was a part of it. He didn't play in any bands, but yeah, he introduced me to rock. And from that, I kind of figured my way out, starting from Radiohead and Nirvana. So that led to me to finding more new bands, and when I started playing guitar, my music tastes also expanded through like Spotify and algorithms. Now I discover and try to discover smaller bands with Instagram and other kind of SNS, and I feel like that kind of expands my taste. The part of the reason why I do this is because I kind of find enjoyment in finding the alternative. I actually have a project going on. There's a woodworking guy that my dad knows. I have a passion project of making this guitar, and as a reference, I took my guitar to.
Oh, making.
Yeah.
Wait, you're making a guitar?
Yeah.
Wait, like
It's kind of a parts caster. Most of the parts I did buy, but the body I made it with a woodworking guy. I haven't played a lot of guitars yet, but I do have some stuff and items and quality of the guitars that I love. So I wanted to have every part customized to my taste, and even the body, because I wanted to make a custom design. It's also kind of an arts passion project more than just guitar. It might not work as beautifully as I wanted to, but still it's something that I made. So I enjoy crafting stuff. I think it was Harnar that I brought my guitar into the shop. Yeah, so I brought that guitar as reference, and we began working on it by designing and making a template. We cut the wood, and now it's ready for paint. I couldn't decide on what to do because it turns out it's a lot more complicated than I thought. I like to research a lot before I know what I'm getting into. So a lot of the time I'm just staring at screens, looking at guitar parts, and kind of get sad about how expensive they are because some of them are actually like astronomical. I think it'll be finished before next grade, like 8th grade. That's probably going to be my main guitar if it turns out nice. I have a lot of interest in, I think, creating things in general. Mostly just making things with my own hand and kind of being proof that I made this. I did a lot of tinkering when I was younger, even if that means that it's complete garbage. And that kind of became a habit of mine. I kind of want our band to be a gateway to introduce new music to the listeners, because sometimes we might not know the songs that the rock bands are performing, but if it's good, that's discovering a new song. Even if nobody knows it, but it sounds good, I feel like that's a really good direction for a rock band to take in.
I wish I was that creative.
But you always create your own dance choreographies all the time.
Thank you so much, Girlie, for motivating me. Now to school news. Jets, don't forget tomorrow is no school day, so see you back here on Monday.
The SAT will be held this Saturday with AP tests beginning on Monday next week and running 2 weeks.
Also, this coming Tuesday is no school day again. Happy Children's Day!
And now it's time for the Jetstream trivia answer. Drumroll, please.
First ever AP tests were taken in 1956. That's 70 years ago.
And Jets, that's all for today's episode.
So don't forget to stay determined, intellectual, and successful.
Was it honestly the best? Cause I just wanna see the next 부지런히 지나온 어제들 속에 참 아름답게 Yeah, the past was honestly the best But my best is what comes next I'm not playing now for sure 그날을 향해 숨이 벅차게 You and the best moment is yeah